The night the ocean gave up her secret, the city of Los Angeles never noticed. It was one of those quiet, deceptive nights when the Pacific seemed calm, the stars too bright, the horizon too still, as if the world itself had paused to inhale. But beneath that stillness, a truth was crawling back from the dead. Luna Nozawa, the woman the world believed had died in a car crash, had been alive all along. Her name was now a ghost story whispered in backrooms and police corridors, a tragedy wrapped in scandal. Yet what no one knew, what no one wanted to believe, was that Luna had never been a victim. She had been the architect. Months earlier, when the wreckage of her car was pulled from the cliffside along Highway 1, the details fit perfectly. The smashed glass, the blood on the seatbelt, the ring on the dashboard, the burned identification card. Even her mother's sobs, her friend's grief, the mournful headlines. It all seemed unassailable. But Luna had planned it that way. The death certificate, the forensic trail, the eyewitness who claimed to have seen the crash, it was all part of a performance, a final act before her rebirth. What drove her to it was not madness, though the tabloids would have called it that. It was betrayal. The betrayal of a family that had treated her as a mistake, of a lover who had abandoned her, of a world that had reduced her to a scandal. Well, Spencer had been her anchor once, the man who promised her light when she was drowning in her own ambition. But that promise had evaporated the day he chose Electra. Electra, the radiant and untouchable heiress, the woman who had everything Luna wanted but could never hold. It wasn't love that pushed Luna over the edge. It was humiliation. The kind that rots slowly until revenge feels like resurrection. In the months following her death, Luna lived in the shadows of the world she used to command. She drifted between names, between cities, becoming a phantom who learned to survive by silence. She found work under aliases, forged new papers, dyed her hair, changed her accent. But in every mirror she passed, she saw the same eyes staring back, sharp, restless, burning with unfinished business. She could have stayed gone forever. She could have lived quietly in Madrid, where no one cared who she had been. But something in her refused peace. Somewhere between grief and obsession, Luna decided that her death had been only an intermission. The second act was beginning. It started with a message. One short, cruel text sent to Will Spencer's phone just after midnight. "Do you ever dream about me?" He ignored it at first, assuming it was a prank. But the next one came 3 days later. "I still remember the crash. Do you?" The tone was personal, familiar, chillingly intimate. By the fifth message, Will stopped sleeping. He knew that number. He had deleted it once, buried it along with his guilt, but there it was resurrected. Electra tried to soothe him, to dismiss it as coincidence, but the doubt in her voice betrayed her own fear. When a package arrived at the Spencer mansion, an envelope containing a photograph of Will and Luna taken the week before her accident, the illusion of safety shattered completely. Electra had never truly understood the depth of Luna's resentment. She thought Luna's jealousy was the petty spite of a failed rival, not the fire of a woman whose world had been deliberately dismantled. In truth, Electra had been the final straw. When she and Will announced their engagement, Luna had already begun her escape plan. She had bribed a mortician, falsified her medical bracelet, and arranged a fake collision using an abandoned vehicle. The woman who had died in Luna's car was never identified, a transient with no name, no record, no one to claim her. The world mourned the wrong woman, while the real Luna walked away under a new identity. Now she was back, more dangerous than anyone imagined. She called herself Alina Kesler, an art dealer from Vienna. Her hair was darker, her features sharper, her manner calm but magnetic. When she returned to Los Angeles, no one recognized her. At least, not at first. But the city has a way of sensing when its ghosts return. Rumors began to spread in the art circles that a mysterious European investor was buying up properties once owned by the Spencers. One by one, Luna, now Alina, was reclaiming pieces of a life she had been denied. What made her vengeance so effective was not violence, but psychology. She didn't confront Will or Electra immediately. She made them question their own reality. A gift sent anonymously to Electra's office, a vintage perfume bottle identical to Luna's favorite scent. A song that Will once wrote for Luna played by a street musician outside his restaurant. A message scrawled on the mirror of a Spencer charity gala bathroom. You buried the wrong woman. Every act was precise, elegant, intimate. And yet, there was a deeper game at play. Because Luna's resurrection was not just about revenge, it was about the truth behind her supposed crime. Months before her faked death, Luna had been arrested under suspicion of corporate espionage. The charges had been orchestrated by forces much larger than her, a cover-up for the Spencer, Forrester, Sheila alliance that had manipulated stock markets and erased evidence of a fatal accident involving Dylan. Luna had discovered the link between their dealings and Dylan's death. She had confronted Will about it. He had promised to help her expose it. Instead, he had chosen silence and Electra. That betrayal had sealed Luna's fate. The night before her arrest, she had written a confession letter. Part truth, part trap. She left it in Will's safe, knowing that one day he would have to choose whether to destroy it or reveal it. But now her return made that decision impossible. The letter was no longer a secret, it was leverage. One evening, Electra received an email with a single attachment, a video recorded in the days before Luna's death. It showed Luna in a hospital room, weak but smiling faintly. You can't bury what's not dead, she said softly. And when I come back, you'll remember what you did to me. The timestamp was authentic, the location real. Panic spread through the Spencer mansion like infection. Electra began to lose sleep, haunted by whispers she couldn't trace. Will started drinking again. He told himself Luna was gone, that it had to be a hoax, but deep down, he felt her presence like a pulse. Luna's revenge, however, was not impulsive. It was methodical. She infiltrated Will's business under her new alias, buying controlling shares through intermediaries. She made allies out of enemies, convincing disgraced investors and former Spencer employees to join her. Within months, she held quiet power over the empire that had once rejected her. What she didn't anticipate was the return of Dylan, a name that had been buried with her past. Dylan had survived too, though barely. The accident that had supposedly killed him had been staged by the same forces that framed Luna. He reappeared in Los Angeles under his own disguise, searching for answers, following a trail that led straight to Luna. When they finally crossed paths again, it was not a reunion. It was an interrogation. Dylan had believed she was dead. She had believed he had betrayed her. The realization that they had both been pawns reignited an old alliance, but one poisoned by mutual suspicion. Together, they began to unravel the network behind their destruction. What they discovered was worse than either expected. The Spencer, Forrester alliance had not just silenced scandals, it had orchestrated them. To protect profits, reputations, and secrets, they had manipulated lives like assets on a balance sheet. Sheila Carter, long thought gone, had been the invisible hand behind it all, trading blackmail for influence, using Luna's imprisonment as leverage to secure her own immunity. Luna had stumbled upon proof of these deals, proof that would have brought the whole empire down. That was why she had to disappear. Her return now was no longer just about vengeance, it was about exposure. But vengeance has a way of consuming its architects. As Luna moved closer to revealing the truth, she found herself changing. The persona of Alina began to slip, and with it, the control she had fought so hard to maintain. She still sent messages to Will, still haunted Electra, but beneath the surface, something fragile was fracturing. The longer she pretended to be someone else, the more she began to lose herself. There were moments, fleeting but real, when she almost wished she could forgive. Will, for his part, had become a hollow man. The confident Spencer air was gone, replaced by someone constantly glancing over his shoulder, wondering when his past would finally come for him. He still loved Electra. At least, he told himself he did, but her perfection now felt suffocating. Every smile reminded him of Luna's laughter, the reckless joy that had once made him feel alive. When Luna finally revealed herself to him, late one night in his office, her face half in shadow, it was like seeing a ghost.
She didn't speak.
She didn't need to. Her eyes said everything. That meeting changed everything. Will realized that Luna's return was not a threat, it was a reckoning. He tried to reason with her, to explain, but Luna was beyond persuasion. What she wanted was not his apology, but his ruin. And yet, in that moment, he saw the flicker of the woman he once loved, the one who believed in redemption. For a heartbeat, he thought he could save her. But Luna didn't want salvation. She wanted truth, even if it destroyed them both. As the days unfolded, Luna's plan accelerated. She leaked documents, exposed financial corruption, and set the stage for a public confrontation that would bring the Spencers and Forrestos to their knees. But fate, or perhaps guilt, intervened. Dylan discovered that one of the proofs Luna was about to release had been fabricated, not by her, but by someone manipulating her from within her own circle. The realization hit like ice. Luna, the master manipulator, had herself been used. It was Sheila's final masterpiece. From the shadows, she had orchestrated Luna's entire return, feeding her fragments of truth laced with lies, steering her toward a revenge that would destroy everyone except the true puppet master. When Luna uncovered this, the world tilted again. She wasn't the avenger. She was the bait. The final confrontation took place at a charity gala meant to celebrate the Spencer Foundation's rebirth. The room was draped in silver and white, the chandeliers glowing like frozen stars. Electra stood at the podium, her speech polished and hollow, unaware that Luna was already there, watching from the crowd. Dylan was nearby, waiting for the signal. And behind the scenes, Sheila's people were ready to broadcast the files that would blow everything open. But Luna hesitated. For the first time since her return, she felt doubt. She looked at Will, broken, remorseful, and realized that revenge, once achieved, left only emptiness. In that instant of hesitation, everything unraveled. The screens flickered, displaying not Luna's carefully curated evidence, but Sheila's edited version, a distortion that painted Luna as a manipulative criminal who had faked her death for profit. The crowd gasped, cameras flashed, and chaos erupted. Luna tried to fight back, to speak, but the noise drowned her out. Security closed in. Dylan reached for her, but she was already moving, running, fleeing through the corridors as her second life collapsed around her. When she reached the terrace overlooking the ocean, she stopped. The wind was cold, the night eerily familiar. It was the same sea that had once swallowed her car, the same darkness that had hidden her escape. Below, she could hear sirens, shouts, the clamor of betrayal. Dylan caught up, pleading with her to surrender, to expose Sheila properly. But Luna only smiled, a sad, exhausted smile. "I already did," she said. "You just didn't listen." Then she handed him a flash drive, the real files, untouched, the final truth. Before he could respond, she stepped onto the railing and disappeared into the darkness below. Days later, the files leaked anonymously to every major news outlet. They confirmed everything: the alliances, the cover-ups, the manipulation. Sheila vanished again, her empire collapsing in silence. The Spencers and Forresters faced public disgrace. And somewhere along the California coast, a fisherman claimed to have seen a woman walking barefoot along the sand at dawn, her hair tangled, her eyes distant. Was it Luna? No one could prove it. But Will kept receiving messages from an untraceable number. The last one arrived months later. It read simply, "The truth never dies. It only changes its name." And with that, the ghost of Luna Nozawa became more than a memory. She became legend, a haunting reminder that in Los Angeles, no one ever really disappears. They just learn how to wear their masks better.